What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the most overrated player from each NFL team. And I just want to be clear, I got nothing against these guys personally, but these are guys that are either have not met their expectations, whether that's because of a high draft selection or their contract, or these are guys that may have overperformed, had inflated statistics that might be candidates for regression next year, or they're just guys that, this is a Madden channel originally, so these are guys that I think are just rated too high in Madden occasionally. Um, so we're going to get started here with the Bears. I'm going to go kind of quick to try and keep this concise, but the Bears, this was a harder team. I think they have more underrated players than anything, but I went with Josh Sitton. He's a fine player, but not exactly a dominant run blocker, not a physical specimen, and a guy that makes the Pro Bowl pretty much every season. A fine player, but perhaps a little overrated. On to Cincinnati, George Ioka, a guy that got a pretty decent contract, was a highly demanded free agent last season. I think they had expectations that he was really going to take over that secondary, and he did not last season. The Bills, Charles Clay, got a decent contract and has really not met the expectations as a receiver. Still a good run blocking tight end. On to Denver, Devontae Booker, really disappointed when C.J. Anderson went down, and man, he's got a long ways to go to really even have that backup role in Denver. With Cleveland, another team that was kind of tough, but Cody Kessler, this is the same quarterback that ran out the back of the end zone for a safety, forgetting that you can't do that. And some people think this guy could be the starter going into next season. I do not. Probably a career backup quarterback, if anything. Tampa Bay, Cameron Brate had a decent season statistically, but not the explosive guy that you're going to want to really stretch the field as a tight end. Arizona, there's a lot of guys on this list. Carson Palmer and John Brown are honorable mentions. I've really knocked John Brown a lot on this channel, so I'm going to mix it up, and actually I'm going to go with Larry Fitzgerald. I might get some criticism for that, but teams really aren't afraid of Larry Fitzgerald anymore. Still has some of the best hands in the league, but he's not really getting separation, and that's the reason he's been playing in the slot. And like I said, teams aren't afraid of Larry Fitzgerald like they used to be. The Chargers, both Corey Lugitt and Jeremy Atuachu have disappointed. Lugitt off a big contract and Atuachu a higher draft pick. The Chiefs, Dontari Poe, he's a free agent. He's probably on his way out, but kind of a fan favorite guy that has not really done his main job, which is to control the interior of the line and really help in the run game. And the Chiefs struggled against the run last season, in large part to Poe. Next, we got the Colts. Dwayne Allen was a pretty easy selection. A very poor receiving tight end. Does a good job blocking, but often does not play as physical as he should for his size. Next, we got Dak Prescott for the Cowboys. This was also pretty easy for me. I think the Cowboys might be in for a rude awakening next year. Dak has a lot of great tools to him, but his arm strength and accuracy are not one of them. It's his decision-making and poise that make him great, but what happens when he doesn't have 5 seconds to sit there and make his reads like he had pretty much every play last season? I'm not going to say he can't continue to develop and have those under pressure, but we have not seen that. And then Miami, I said Koamisi, just slightly overrated, not a fully well-rounded linebacker, kind of a run defense guy. And then the Eagles went with Zach Ertz, has not met his expectations as a receiving tight end. And then the Falcons, this one was kind of hard, but I went with Matt Ryan. He's fine. He's more than fine. He won the MVP, but I think he's a candidate for a Cam Newton-esque regression coming off that MVP season. It took him to really have everything go right. His team was remarkably healthy all season. He had a great, healthy offensive line and probably the best receiving core in the league down the stretch. And I just think he's going to take a step back, come back to earth a little bit. But I do think he's better than Cam Newton was coming off of Cam Newton's MVP season. For the 49ers, this was tough. I just said Jeremy Curley. His high catch rate was a a product of an offense that couldn't push the ball downfield. And then the Giants, we got Jason Pierre-Paul and Olivier Vernon. This defense was awesome last season, but it was because of their coverage. And it was really remarkable what this secondary was able to do, considering Pierre-Paul and Vernon, who are both paid a lot of money to get after the quarterback, did not do a good job at that. And Pierre-Paul is a free agent this offseason, so we'll see if he's back. But if they want to consistently be an elite defense, they are going to have to get a better pass rush from those two. On to Jacksonville, I got Allen Hurns. I think he's just been a product of a high-volume passing game. The Jets' Calvin Pryor has been incredibly disappointing at the safety position, former first-round pick. The Lions, Larry Warford, the right guard, is going to be a free agent, going to get paid north of $30 million. But, man, does he struggle in pass protection. The Packers, Nick Perry, not the consistent pass rusher that this team really needed all season long. Also a free agent. We'll see if he gets paid or not. Panthers, I'm sticking with Cam Newton. It's become more well accepted that he's not an elite quarterback, but a lot of people still think that he is. Personally, I think Cam Newton is the most overrated player in football, maybe in all of sports. The Patriots, LeGarrette Blount, just kind of an expendable player for this offense. Definitely a good power back, but it's mainly just because he's so big. He does do a good job of not going down, but I think we saw in the Super Bowl that he's not really important to this offense. And then the Raiders, Reggie Nelson, he got paid. Cincinnati let him go. He still makes the Pro Bowl this year. I think a lot of people are aware that he might not be as good as he's getting paid to be, but definitely a little overrated. The Rams, Tavon Austin, making $10 million a year, was I think the 8th overall pick, and is hardly a receiver, so definitely overrated. The Ravens, this one was tough. I just went with Joe Flacco. Don't need much explanation on that one. The Redskins, I went with Kirk Cousins. He's fine. We see that when you put good weapons around him and protect him, he's going to do a good job for sure. But they're always going to know, whoever has Kirk Cousins, you're going to be aware that you could do better, basically. He's going to be a liability under pressure and against great defenses. And then on to the Saints. I went with Brandon Cooks. He's a fine player, a really good deep threat, but he's a guy that I really expected was going to develop into a truly elite receiver and has not done so. Seahawks, kind of in the same wagon. We got Doug Baldwin. I think he got overpaid by the Seahawks. I don't think that was his market I think he got paid like $11 million. Definitely a good fit for their system and a fine receiver, but I think he's a career number 2, not a number 1. The Steelers, I went with Ben Roethlisberger. It's more of an indication of what I think is coming. We really saw him struggle. His arm strength dropped off, and the injuries seem to be catching up with Ben Roethlisberger. And then the Texans, this one was really easy. Lamar Miller got paid a ton of money. And, man, he looks incredibly raw out there. He doesn't break tackles. He has poor vision. I think his explosiveness is overrated. And just an incredibly disappointing season for Lamar. And then the Titans, Derek Morgan, former first-round pick, has probably overstayed his welcome as a starting pass rusher in Tennessee. And then the Vikings, the last team. We got Anthony Barr. Somehow made the Pro Bowl this season, but really just a cover 2 linebacker at this point. Not very instinctive. He's very good at making a tackle in space when it's right in front of him. But he seems a little awkward, seems a little out of position, seems like more of a down lineman to me in terms of his build. So that's it. I'm curious if you guys agree with me. I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off because, I'm ripping on players, but just my opinions. Let me know what you guys think. If you like the video, like and subscribe. It helps me out. And then I'm also going to do the most underrated player on each team one of these days here. So thanks, guys. Have a good day. Peace out.